Several cybersecurity companies were recently compromised in a supply chain attack, and victim zero was probably a organization you've never heard of. Well, unless you were listening to my post yesterday. The attacker hit Klue, a competitive intelligence platform, swiped a ton of OAuth tokens, and then walked off with hundreds of customers' data. We're talking cybersecurity groups like HackerOne, Recorded Future, Tanium, and at no time was any malware used, no exploit chain, just a token nobody was paying attention to. Now, Klue is the kind of vendor that security teams rarely really think about. I mean, it's a competitive intelligence tool. It's used to track competitors and feed battle cards to go-to-market teams. Attackers ended up compromising Klue's environment, then stealing OAuth tokens that belonged to Klue's clients, and then essentially walked right past any sort of network security the victims' teams had in place. All because all they were doing were just impersonating Klue at that point. Now, the data exposed in this leak isn't as info-sexy or juicy as, like usernames or password hashes. We're also not talking about like source code or production customer secrets either. What did get stolen, though, are internal sales and competitive intelligence. So think like contact details for employees, sales notes, deal tracking information, and in some cases, customer data, okay? So this is still PII here. This stuff is still super useful for phishing, social engineering, and follow-up attacks. One paper, the Register, already is putting victim counts in the hundreds, okay? As mentioned earlier, I confirmed victims include Huntress, HackerOne, Jamf, Recorded Future, and Tanium. And keep an eye out, though. I really do expect that list to grow considerably larger. Now, as far as responses go, Huntress and HackerOne both confirmed exposure, but both said that no production systems or customer security data were touched. Klue, on the other hand, hasn't been as responsive. They've been a bit quieter, but at the same time, they have a lot more forensic analysis to do. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. So what should you do with all this? Well, if your company uses Klue, assume your sales and marketing data is in the attacker's hands. So you'll want to brief your teams on targeted phishing aimed at things like deals in flight. So if you're a customer of any of these named vendors, you'll also want to expect lookalike outreach within the next few weeks. You'll also really want to verify any sort of unusual contact through a known channel before clicking any link. Moving on to our next story. Another BreachForums clone just gave up and walked away, this time citing fear of ShinyHunters. The site at Breached.hn went up for sale yesterday for $3,000. By today, the price was slashed to $1,500, and even that wasn't moving, so they just shut it down. Here's what's going on. Every few months, somebody spins up a new BreachForums mirror, and this time they promise it'll be the real successor. They'll rack up a few thousand registrations and then quietly fold. And this one followed the script to the letter. This time, the operators reportedly got spooked after ShinyHunters started making some noise. ShinyHunters is a group that's been muscling in on the BreachForums brand and infrastructure. Now, rather than FAFO, they decided to list the whole thing on a marketplace, put their tail between their legs, and bail. Smart call, really. Now, what's actually exposed when one of these clone sites collapse? Well, user accounts, email addresses tied to forum handles, hashed passwords of varying quality, private messages, escrow transaction records, and in some cases, IP logs the operators swore they weren't keeping track of. Yeah. So if any of you have registered an account on Breached.hn, I'd assume that database is now in the hands of someone else. Maybe a buyer, maybe ShinyHunters, maybe both. Regardless, I don't think anyone has good intentions with your data. So I don't know if you're thinking this. Maybe you're like, hey, no big deal. This is just a bunch of script kiddies on a forum. Not so fast, okay? Yes, anyone who's created an account on that clone is a given, but let's now include maybe anyone who was named, doxed, or had their data brokered through this during that rep building process. So think about it. This could include researchers, journalists, and then we also have, threat intel analysts who maintain undercover personas on these forums for legitimate work. They may be compromised here as well. So if you've had any presence on Breached.hn, rotate that email and password associated with that account immediately. Check any sort of reused credentials across other services. If you've ran a research persona there, burn it and move on to another sock puppet account. Oh yeah, also keep an eye on paste sites over the next few weeks. That database is bound to pop up soon. All right, last story of the day, folks. Y'all remember Gizmodo, right? They're like one of the OG tech sites out there. Well, unfortunately, they got popped this last Saturday. Readers ended up landing on fake CAPTCHA windows while trying to read articles. And the payload behind those pop-ups was the ClickFix malware. And anyone who followed the instructions handed attackers code execution on their own machine. Here's how ClickFix works, okay? You visit a Gizmodo article and a box will appear claiming they need to verify that you're a human. It tells you to press the Windows key plus R, then paste a command that it's conveniently already copied to your clipboard. You just press enter. At that point, a command runs a malicious script through your terminal. So technically, there's no exploit. There's no 0-day. It's just social engineering dressed up as a CAPTCHA. Yeah, you ran the code for them. You literally unlocked the front door and let the bad guys waltz right in. That's how ClickFix works, okay? Anyways, the Gizmodo demographic typically aren't that dumb. Readers caught on to it relatively quick and posted screenshots online, and Gizmodo did confirm the compromise that same day. Upon analysis, researchers attribute the campaign to an affiliate of Air Traffic. They're a ClickFix as a service operation that lets paying customers drop whatever malware they want onto compromised sites. This is how info stealers, remote access trojans, and ransomware, or frankly anything else, can land on victims' machines, okay? Now, Gizmodo hasn't published a detailed timeline or said how the injection happened on their end, whether it was a compromised ad network, a CMS issue, or a stolen staff account. I expect that picture to fill in over the coming days. So, anyways, that about wraps up today's stories, folks. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. This is Andy Thompson, signing off.